Welcome back to the Limitless Project. I'm Trevor and this is a magic tutorial. Today I'll be revealing how to levitate an apple using one simple household item. So let's talk about exposure. Am I exposing magic? Well, yes. And you're a magician, or you really like magic and that's why you're here. You're wanting to learn how to do some magic tricks. This is a basic beginner level magic trick of levitating an apple. You can find the answer to this anywhere on the internet, as you can with anything. Everything is out there. There are no secrets.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
So if you're actively looking for these things, like I said, you really like magic and you're doing the right thing. You're starting to learn. I first performed this in England. I remembered watching this on the internet and we ran some friends, and believe it or not, I didn't have anything with me. It's just one of those times you're just like, I don't have anything. So I was at breakfast and I saw an apple. I remembered seeing this, so I grabbed one extra item, which I'll expose in a little bit. And that was in my room, so easy to find. And I started practicing it, which is the performance you'll see coming up next. And I went on to perform it that night as well, and it went great. So let me know in the comments below what you think of the performance, if you have any ideas, and especially if you have any questions. I'd love to help. So before exposing and teaching you how to do the effect, I want to take a moment to talk to any beginners out there and give some suggestions. Like anything, we really need to build a good foundation in any skill that we're doing. Just like a pyramid, it takes more time to build a solid foundation, which is a longer road and sometimes a little bit more boring, but eventually you'll have a solid base and build upon that. It's so easy to get caught up in just getting the latest and the greatest, as we call it, the one trick wonder. But you need a good vocabulary and a baseline and skill of practicing, which will really propel you forward. And my suggestion for beginners is to maybe purchase Mark Wilson's complete course in magic. Now, this is a comprehensive beginner level book and teaches you how to use all types of household items, anything from strings, ropes, papers, etc. You'll find it in here. Also, Magic, the complete course by Joshua J., which you can find on Amazon, is also a great resource. Many of these books now also have DVDs if you're better at visual learning instead of just reading. So that's an option. Now, once you kind of look at these two books, if you start segueing into areas that you really like, you can move on. But more advanced comprehensive course is Tarbell's Course in Magic. This is just one of the series that we have down here. And this is a little bit more advanced and a great resource. So you might check that out maybe a little later. As you move on, you say, well, I really like coin magic. So a beginner or I think a fundamental book is J.B. Bobo, Modern Coin Magic. I mean, this is a must to take a look at. You'll absolutely love this book. So moving on from there, if you like cards, a beginner level card course is the Card College by Roberto Giobbi. If I pronounce the name right, I've heard it pronounced several different ways. Great course in basic level card magic. I really love this series because it teaches you a skill and then, for example, just a shuffle or a false shuffle. And then it teaches you after that chapter a couple effects that you can use with that technique. So you continue to build on that, and it teaches you to get out and perform and build your confidence. So great series. Moving on, The Royal Road to Card Magic. Lots of different card effects in here. Great book or resource. And also encyclopedia of card tricks. Just as it said, an encyclopedia. There are plenty of tricks there. I mean, this will last you a lifetime just with this. And these are solid, well-tested over time magic tricks that work. So I suggest checking out some of these books. You start to get more advanced, like Coin Magic with David Roth, his DVD series. There's so many different things out there that you can build upon, but just this, you would have so much to begin with, and it would keep you occupied for so much time with great magic. So I suggest you check those out. All right, it's that time you've been waiting for. Let's learn how to levitate an apple. So what are you gonna need? What's the secret? What's the gimmick? You're gonna need double stick tape, regular Scotch tape, you're gonna need scissors, stapler, you're gonna need 2 magnets, and you're gonna need a kind of like string, thick about this long. No, I'm just kidding. I gotcha. I said this was easy, right? And it is. I love tutorials where they set out all these items and you get it and you're ready to start, and then you realize you have to build this like a crazy gimmick that takes forever, and you're like, oh my gosh, I do not want to do this. This is not the case. You need a pen. That's it, pen and apple. So, is there any specifics about the pen? Preferences for me, which is not an absolute, I would like to have the pen color match my watch band. Also, ideally, my shirt color. So in this case, I would have worn a regular black solid shirt. That'll help prevent any flashes. If this pen were red, and I did this right now, if there was any hint of a flash, it would just pop a little bit more and it'd be more obvious for you. So that's just something you can do. Next, we get an apple. We take the pen, and it's a one-time setup. You're just gonna push the pen into the side of the apple. Now, I suggest not going too far because that will cause us problems at the end when we try to clean up. Because I want to hand this apple out for examination. That's right, hand it out. So with the pen in place, you just want it in far enough to where I can pick the apple up and it's supported. There's going to be a little bit of apple juice at first, so you're just going to wipe that off, and when you let it sit and settle, it'll dry and it won't happen again during performance. Now for the pen. You're going to take the pen and you're going to just put that underneath your watch band, okay? I prefer to center it off to the left, this side here. Reason being, when I levitate, I want it to look very kind of centered and natural, versus if you do this, you'll find out when you play with it, your wrist kind of kicks this way first, and then you're trying to keep it over here, and then the weight of the apple, it goes that way, and it can fall off. Now you're gonna have to play with this obviously on your own, because our anatomy is all different. You're gonna have to figure out what works for you, and definitely practice because of your angles. Get a mirror, look, and figure out what the angles are. A good rule of thumb is, whenever you're performing, imagine a eye line towards the effect. So if I'm hiding this, I don't want to be like this. I want this pointing at the spectator's eye line, and that'll help to hide it. That's just a good rule to follow. Now, I want that watch band tightened down, okay? That'll keep this pen and the apple from moving around a lot, which makes the levitation less smooth, less believable. Now that we're ready to go, we have this coin or finger palm position, and pretty natural, down to our sides or on the table. You have the apple set up, or you can magically produce it. You can do whatever you want. I like to put this with some other fruit on the table and use a magician's force. So as they pick the apple, I will introduce it now and go into the effect. Subtlety here is I put my thumb just above that hole. This is going to create a good reference in a minute to when I hook up the apple. Otherwise, I'm sitting here fumbling around and looking and, okay, I'm ready to go, right? Pretty fishy. You don't want to do that. So as we're talking, you come up with any storyline you want. For example, you ask, did you know that electricity can cause a small object like an apple to briefly levitate in the air? So you might use that or anything else. Now you're making good eye contact, you're talking. As we're talking and going over the storyline, I'm gonna bring this down and then turn to this position. That way I don't look down and go like this and accidentally flash, right? So as I come down here, then I look. Now this is called proprioception, right? I just have an awareness that my thumb is right above that hole and the pin is right there. So when I look down briefly from this view, I'm just going like that. So that's how quick and easy it is. Don't make this a big move. You're talking, you're gesturing, you're bringing this down, you're in position here now. And then when I'm ready to look, I just look down and I just go forward like that, or forward my wrist or back here, okay? So now that it's in the apple, you might say, well, what if it's too loose there? Well, you'll get a sense for how it feels. If you need it tighter, you can pin the pin down with your thumb and just push that apple in a little bit more as you're talking. Or you can gesture with this hand and squeeze with this hand and it'll push it in more. Either way, you've got this ready and set. Now we need to talk about levitation. If I was to hook up a string from my hand to a coin and levitate it, you're not stupid, right? We're all gonna logically try to guess at how something's done. It's just natural. So don't get mad at your spectators if they start trying to guess at how you're doing something, especially if you're doing a terrible job. You have to, our job as magicians is to disguise the effect, right? Disguise the method. And we do that using all kinds of tools, right? Ideas and storylines, etc. So once you're ready to levitate, what I don't want to do is just pop that thing up in the air like that. These two motions are connected, right? Obviously, my wrist kicked it up in the air. So I need to add in a little subtlety with my other hand as we concentrate. Okay, maybe I build up static electricity with my feet on the ground. And then I don't want to lift the apple. I want the apple to stay suspended at first. Now that it's suspended, we can cause it to animate or levitate as we go up and down. You know, we're doing different motions here, right? So this hand is going up and down as this hand goes up and down. And as we're doing this, you might even change up the pattern of the hands going up and down. You don't want to oversell this. This is brief. So you first suspend the apple and then maybe just for a second, levitate it. Once it's in position here, now a nice little trick that you can do is, or convincer, is I can take my finger and go around the apple. All I'm doing is just going over the pin, right? I'm just skipping over the pin. I like to go pretty deep here so it looks like I'm going all the way around the apple and then just come like that. Now for the back, I can come underneath the apple and I can go back over, right? So I can go over and underneath and then I can come back over. Pretty cool. From here, the apple settles. Now to disengage the apple, if you feel like it's pretty on tight, you'll get them again. Once you practice, you'll know this. I'm just kicking this off, right? So I'm here, it settles, and then I look up and we make eye contact or ask a question. You don't have to do that, but it's just a little better to hide any flash. As this comes off, I wrist kill, right? Off and wrist kill. Now for the cleanup. Take the apple, don't show them that. Take the apple, take a bite. That's why I don't want the pin going in too far. If it's a deep hole there, it takes some gigantic bite, right? So take a bite, hand the apple out for inspection, and I mean, isn't that amazing? So clean up for yourself. I mean, you don't even need to clean this up. I mean, don't run. They're not chasing you here. But eventually you want to get rid of that pin. So I like to go to my pocket, and as I do, I just grip the pin, and I'm just going to ditch that off, right? So you're just gripping the pin, pulling it off, putting it in your pocket, and having a logical reason to do so. Maybe just both hands go in the pocket to relax, or maybe you introduce some cards or your next effect. I really hope you like this. I think this is such a cool trick, especially spur of the moment. You got a pin, you got an apple, and just some thoughts are, I mean, you can go on to do any other build on this, right? This is a good opener. It's quick, it's visual. And people are like, wow, that's really cool. You might even use this just as a thought to do a card or a build to impossible location at the end. So you've prepared a bill or a card, either the corner or the full card, and the apple. You set that aside, and you get back to that later. So you brought out your cards. Once you ditched your pen, you go into a kind of a middle effect, which usually is a little bit longer storyline, more engaging with the spectator to get to shuffle the cards or work with you, right? Or some magic to happen in their hand. And then lastly, just knock them out at the end with just a stunner, right? You borrow a bill or have them pick a card, you tear it or burn the bill, however you want to do it, but it ends up inside the apple. Chop it open and there it is. So that's just some ideas. I like to structure things in three: a quick visual opener, kind of a longer storyline effect, and then just a closer, you know, something that definitely either happens in their hand or is just impossible. So again, I hope you really like this. I love performing it, and I hope if you're kind of new to magic, this engages you to start learning magic. And I can't stress more that if you're starting off, you should go get the complete course in magic. That's a great way just to get started. All right, so that was my first tutorial on the page. I love teaching, especially magic. And if you enjoyed it and found it helpful, please hit like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, do all the things, right? But especially, please leave some comments, likes, dislikes, advice, and definitely questions that you have. It'll help me to understand if people are really enjoying the content, and that way I plan to put out a lot more tutorials in between my magic product reviews. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time on the Limitless Project.